Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Halloween in July for 2024. And I have Mentors of the Year today on screen with us, and we're going to be talking about the mentorship program, which I may be a little bit biased, but is one of the best programs the HWA offers, I think. It certainly made a huge difference to me. So ladies, if you want to introduce yourselves, I would love it, and talk a little bit about your experience as a mentor of the year. Very conversational. We don't have to do like the panel. Your turn. This is conversation between mentors of the year, because we've all been mentors of the year. So who wants to start?
I can start. I'm Elmarie Wood, and I just got the Mentor of the Year award this year, so it's pretty exciting. I'm very excited about this, but I've been a mentor since I should have looked that up. That's one thing I meant to do, but I think it's been about 10 years, probably more. It feels like a little bit more, not because of workload or stress or anything, just because I feel like I've been doing it for almost as long as my return to writing horror fiction. I took a little bit of a break in the late 2000s. So I'm back, and I've been doing this for quite a long time, and it has been one of those experiences that you almost kind of have to have it, do it yourself to know. Because when I say that it's enriching and you feel a sense of joy helping other people, that sounds sort of I don't know, nebulous, but it's true. It's not about, oh, I'm doing this, or even when you win the award, of course you're quite honored, but you're doing something to help other people, and the joy comes when someone actually says, hey, that really worked for me, or hey, I sold this. After we talked, I sold this to whatever market, or I really understand the concept now because we went through it. So for me, it's been really just outside of working with other people and helping them, I felt incredibly gratified as someone who's been in the in the business for so long and writing as well. So yeah, it's been great.
Awesome.
Thanks for that, Lisa. Wow. I think you're absolutely. Oh, I'm Lee Murray. I'm a 5-time Bram Stoker Award winner and New Zealand Prime Minister's Award winner for literary achievement in fiction, and I've written a few novels and things. I have been. I've been in the mentorship program, I think 6 years. I think I'm going to say 6 years. I think I've had 8 or maybe 9 HWA mentees, and I do deal with novellas and novels. And usually when mentees come, they say, I've got this novel. And it turns out that it's the first novel in a series of 5, and I have to think about the long story arc as well, which is huge. A lot to do in the 3 or 4 month period. But I think, where did I start with mentorship? It's almost been part of my branding. And that's a weird thing to say, because I didn't set out thinking that mentorship would be part of my branding. But when I started writing, I wanted to learn as much as I could. And I wasn't formally trained. I mean, I have done some master's papers in writing, but I wasn't I came from science and management, and so I didn't, have that formal training. So I thought, well, how am I going to do this? And I thought, well, what I could do is I could swap with my peers or swap with people and do critiques. And so I had this kind of wanderlust of, give me your stuff. I want to learn what you're doing so I can critically analyze it and think about how I could apply that to my practice. And in that process, I just learned so much. Okay, so I can see a problem here. We can see a problem here, the two of us. What would work? Let me see what would work. Read widely, and by doing that, I just was able to sharpen my own work and see things that I hadn't seen in my own work. And so by doing that, I learned so much. So it's a bit sneaky, it's very rewarding, as Lisa says, and it's one of the most empowering and such a huge honor and privilege to be able to work with other people, and they trust you with their work. And also this beautiful shiny trophy here, of course, and I know my dad would be super pleased. It would be the thing that he's most proud of, I think. And I just feel that has become my thing. Lee Murray, she does, she's someone who will help you, and that's a nice place to be in terms of branding. And I know that it's a wrong reason, but it has worked for me. I sort of think that is how, well, I hope that is how people see me, but also I've learned so much. And I haven't always done it just for the HWA. I do it for other my local groups as well. And I just think it's sort of a nice way to pay it forward if you do have some skills. And I've basically learned everything I've learned about writing on the heap, and so I've learned it from doing mentorships and peer reviews and critiques. And so yeah, so that's where I'm coming from. What about you, Angela?
Well, I always forget to talk about myself, don't I? Yes, I've been in the mentorship program a long time. I'm with you, though. I like how you do bring that up with branding, because I feel like that's part of the HWA branding. We do have this mentorship program, but we have so many things, and all ships rise with the tide. That's kind of what I feel like is, and that's some great branding. You know what I mean? That's the organization I want to be a part of, is one that will help me as well. And the mentorship program has definitely helped me. I have learned so many things. I probably shouldn't admit this, but I found out what shun formatting was, and the difference between passive voice and filtering from being a mentor, because my mentees would say something to me, like, oh, well, I thought that was, this. Oh, well, let me Google that real quick. You are right. It is actually that. There's a fine distinction, and Google says, I just learned something. So you do learn a lot. I think when I first started, I was very unsure of what does this even mean. And then after you do a couple mentees, you get into your stride. But I think it's important. Both of you kind of brought up a point of, in the beginning, what is the training for this? You step into it and you become, and it's a little bit trial and error, but you do that and it works, and it winds up being mutually beneficial. It is both give and take. So my next question is, what are some of the things that you think makes a good mentor, an effective mentor, I'll say?
To start with, we are not your mother. And I think that is, because I think there's a problem with you just starting out, and you give your work to people and they go, oh, it's great. But they don't necessarily, have, can be a little bit brutal and say, okay, it's sound, but there are some things you could do to polish this up, and what can we do to, make this tighter? And so we're not your mother. And also, I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's we can give use some constructive criticism without being, yes, it's great, sweetie. I don't know why they don't want it. I don't know why this doesn't fit the call. We are just not your mother. So that's partly, that's partly the quality, I think. Was that the question?
That was. So I'm going to paraphrase you from Lee Murray. Pick up your own typos, kids.
I think that's a great one, Lee. I mean, when I think about I had a real shift in the way that I perceived myself as a creative, as part of the creative community, because that's what we're doing here. The mentoring is part of the HWA, but it's also part of the larger community of creative people and creative work. So somewhere along the way, I had a shift of being like just an individual contributor, writing my stuff, and I write a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm usually really heads down, focusing on that. And then there was a point when I said, I ran into this bad contract. I had a publisher fold. This one story that I think is fantastic never gets picked up, blah, blah, blah. You run into these things as an author. You have to. It's kind of part of it, right? And I said, but some of these were mistakes on my part, and some of them were snafus, gotchas that I would have never known ahead of time. Maybe I should try and help people not run into the same problem. So that shift brought on the idea to do the mentoring, and I share that kind of stuff. I mean, it's funny, not within, because like Lee, I mentor in other places as well. And once I was asked, we didn't even go over writing, which was amazing. There were questions more so about, how do you read a contract? What's a good contract? How do you, pitch to certain markets? Is it fair for them to ask certain questions? These are great discussions and things that I don't think that we really understand that that's actually part of our role. I mean, we do it. You know, I'm from the time, like, I'm going to date myself just a little, but my first, I have 2 poetry collections, and one just came out this year, but the first one came out like years ago, and I had it listen, it was tape stitched on the spine. Okay.
Okay, you are dating yourself a little bit.
I'm telling you. And I had a box of it in the trunk of my car, and yes, I sold them out of the trunk of my car. So I even have the self-publishing thing that I never thought about. I was just like, I got these things I'm selling. That's self-publishing, and I didn't think about that. But so because of that, when you self-publish, you're running your business now. So now I know a bunch of stuff that I didn't think I could share with anyone that would matter to anyone, put it that way. So what I think makes a good mentor is a well-rounded contributor, a well-rounded author, a well-rounded professional, put better, because, you know, if you can't, because how do I say this? Sometimes we have to run into the pitfalls to grow, but some stuff should be avoided. And if we can help someone, that's what I think we're here to do. At least from my perspective, I'm here to help someone not write, you know, something and mix their tenses, because I've done that. That doesn't go well, you know. So I want to help with the things I know I can help with. I don't know, and I think that approach has worked. And I kid you not, I mean, 9 times out of 10, we're getting, you know, mentees who are looking to go through the work, just comb through the work and do that. Sometimes you get one person who's like, I'd love to understand the business of this. You know what?
Yeah.
How do I use Facebook ads, or how do I use whatever? And that's a conversation we can have, because I've been there, done that. So let's have the discussion.
Okay,
Yes,
Lisa, I'm hooking up with you for Facebook ads.
But I think that's part of it, isn't it? The mentee can somehow guide the scope of the work. I mean, within reason, you can say, this is what I'd like. A couple of my mentees have wanted to step into the community, and so they've both been involved in panels at StokerCon, for example, and how do you put yourself forward for that, and how do you propose a panel, and how can you get on one and meet the community and be involved. So there is that kind of thing. Or how do I do a reading? You know, how do I do a reading? Or, you know, what should I choose? Those little aspects. But one thing you said, Lisa, and I think, you know, you do, I mean, anyone getting Lisa as a mentor is just like, oh, super, because she's, you know, top class and absolutely at the top of her game. But I think we need to remember that HWA mentors don't necessarily have to be, you know, the New York Times bestseller. And you could put yourself forward as a mentor if you have skills in a particular area that you feel you can share. And you know, if you have been working in poetry a long time, you know, you might know some of those markets. You might be, you know, have some background in how to put together a collection, those kinds of things. And I think that is actually, you know, that you don't have to be the you know, have 10 Bram Stokers or whatever. You can still step into a role and say, and you can be very open with the mentorship program. Speak with Greg Fatty. They know these things. They can say, this is a new mentor, and they have these skills, and they'll put you with someone who is very new, and then you still have that opportunity to learn from the new person, and also offer some skills. So I think there's a perception that you can't be a mentor unless you know, and unless you know, have some amazing credentials. But just if you know, if you put out a book, you will have done some things. You will have had some experience that other people might not yet have. And so I don't think you necessarily have to wait to become a mentor. And there are opportunities and things to learn, and just also having someone else to talk to, you know, about the craft. And it's exciting. We love words, and we love structure, and we love reading. And also there's that, oh, you should read this because this is something that could apply to, and then you have this shared reading list, which is super exciting, isn't it? Because we just get to talk about books and writing and things that we love. So if you are thinking that you might want to step into the mentorship program, not as a mentee, but as a mentor, then just bear in mind that you can do that. You don't have to be at, you know, all the way you don't have to be finishing the finishing post. You can be on the way to the finishing post yourself. And well, there is no finishing post, is it? Because we're still learning. I just think that's something. And also, we have the HWA has so much experience here. And if you are wanting to step into the program, you can reach out to any of us for how should I go about this? How do I limit the scope? How do I create boundaries? Don't ask me about boundaries. I'm really bad with that one. But there is support. You know, you can tap into support with the HWA. You can reach out to other mentors and say, how have you done this? You know, for me, I tend to let mentees tell me, you know, what their time issues are and how much time they've got. One mentee of mine, his wife had a baby right in the middle, so we did a lot of work in the front end, and then in the second part of the mentorship, it was just sorry, and that was fine. You know, that just sometimes life happens. But I think that, you know, it's usually the mentor that says, I'd really like to work on this, and this is my goal. And then that's actually nice and manageable. Okay, so I want to finish this piece of work to a publishable standard, and then I might try pitching it here, or then I might write something else and get it beta read. Those kinds of, so you've got a nice manageable scope within the time that's allocated. I got way off topic.
No, that was fantastic. And I like that both of you brought up mentor at your experience level. Everybody has something to share. I don't remember what corporation it is, but this always sticks with me. I think it's IBM or Microsoft or, you know, somebody like that. But when an executive makes a mistake, we think we're going to fire them, but they actually give them a raise and promote them because now they know what not to do. And that is just as valuable as knowing what to do. You know, there's a whole lot of what not to do. And, you know, there's a whole lot of what to do. And it also varies on each of us. So I think that's the other point that I'm hearing both of you touch on is that we network. And so, you know, I don't know how many times somebody has asked me something and I'll say, yeah, I don't have a lot of experience with that. Like agents, you know, I tend to waffle around and I'm going to get an agent. No, I'm not. Too much commitment. Okay, yes, I will. No, too much commitment. Yeah, that is me. I have commitment problems. But, you know, because it's like for a long time, you know, you form a relationship. But I might be like, oh, yeah, you know, who does know, though, is so-and-so. You know, now I know, oh, yeah, I don't know anything about Facebook ads. I need to take a class on that. But Lisa told me she knows about Facebook ads. You know, Lee Murray does, you know, there's always somebody that we can point to as well, which is part of the beauty of the networking, you know.
I'm sorry. As a new person, especially if you're joining the organization brand new, you know, you don't know anybody. And it's not, I mean, it's not easy to just, it's not like back in the day. And I say back in the day, because when I was in a chapter, we would meet in person, you know, we would once a month and we would talk, and it was different. You knew people, like, you know, you actually knew them. Online feels a little different than knowing people. But then if your group doesn't meet, then you don't feel like you've met anyone. So, but if you get a mentor, you know that person now. And that many of us, at least I know that the ones I've talked to, that we have a 4-month commitment, but then I'm not saying I'm not answering your emails after this. I refuse. No, that never happens. No. You maintain the relationship.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know,
that is a good point. I always say this, that mentees are for life. And they totally are. And, you know, I've been part of the New Zealand Society of Authors mentorship program, I think, for 17 years. And I still reach out to my mentor from that program, you know, occasionally and say, what do you think? You know, and he's been very supportive. In fact, he came out to a reading of mine just a couple of weeks ago. So that was really, really nice. And so, yeah, mentees, mentorship is kind of forever. You have a connection, you are networked, and also your mentor can step you into, as Angela says, you know, take you to a conference. Have you met this person? This is one of my mentees they're working on. you know, they're working on this, and you know, here's a connection. And I just think, but also, you know, I had breakfast with one of mine at StokerCon this last year, which was really lovely. You know, that's actually also, and you can make friends, which is nice. It's not just a professional connection.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And so you only really need to know one mentor. And then you have access to all the mentors. And here's 3. And then at the end of this, we're going to see videos of more. So there you go. But how about being a mentee? Because there's also a special, you have to be open and know what are you trying to get out of this relationship. So I think there's a responsibility from a mentee too, which kind of goes back to what Lee said at the beginning. I'm not your mother. What are you, as the person wanting to forge this relationship, looking, you know, what are some of the things that the mentees can do to make this whole thing work really well?
Yeah, I usually have a meeting with mine to start with. You know, they send me their work, I read some, or I read all of it. Sometimes I read the whole novel straight away, and then then we usually talk over Zoom, and that's another advantage. You know, I'm way out in New Zealand. There is no chapter here, and so it's really, you know, it's a way of connecting. But yeah, and then we sort of talk about the scope. You know, usually it's a novel, so it's a lot of work to get through, often in the 3 or 4 months. And in fact, most of my mentees are still, I mean, I've still, you know, got some from early on when I first started that are still coming back to me working on things around their mentorship and beyond. And so I think so that then I try and bring the scope down, because I'm doing the first novel in a 5-book series is really tricky for me, because I can't read the whole 5 in 4 months and also knowing about those long story arcs. But generally they'll say, I want to get it to a publishable standard, or I'm really struggling with the plot of this, or and then we develop a plan for how we're going to work forward. And we usually, often it's you know, like every week or every couple of weeks we have a meeting, or they send me a chapter and I'll look at it, give them some ideas to go back. And so it's really, you know, and then we'll do a face-to-face every couple of weeks. So that kind of works out really fine, just the way it works, because some mentees don't prefer that. They prefer to work by email, and it's just whatever is most comfortable, you know, depending on the scope and the plan, you know, the plan that we make at the beginning of what we're going to do. So I think for mentees, the thing is to know, bring your best game, because what an opportunity to have free help. And, you know, that's probably, you know, you could probably put a couple of $1,000s of value on. Obviously we can't, because it's priceless, but you know, like, bring your game. If you get a mentorship from the HWA, really, what an opportunity. You know, be respectful, obviously, of that person's time, because, you know, Linda Addison, for example, is mentoring the whole world of the HWA, is basically everyone's mentor. So just be respectful of their time. But yeah, I think it's the scope, boundaries, bring your best game, you know, make the most of the opportunity, ask the questions. Yeah, I think, you know, those are the things I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, I think you hit on the nail on the head right at the end there for me. Bringing the questions, have questions when you start I mean, I know it's not, we've all been there, right? We've all been unsure, you know, about what we're doing, where we're going to go with it. Can we go anywhere with it? You know, we've all done that. So you've already taken the first step by becoming a mentee. So you know what you want to do. Have confidence in that. You know, have confidence that you believe in yourself enough to take this step and show your work. So before you get to the point of showing the work, though, have some questions, because surely you didn't just join this for the fun of it. Talk to us. Let us know what you're looking, because it's more than just, let me look at your work and I'll mark it up. There's a discussion, there's a relationship that can be formed. you get what you put in is what I want to say about that. There's some mentors have a lot of structure. I love that structure you mentioned, Lee. Some people are a lot more loose with it. That might be me. I'm a little looser than that, I think. But we as mentors move with you. If I have a mentee that wants that structure, then guess what? I have that structure now. That's what I'm doing. And that's where we are. And it's because we're here for you, right? But I can't pull the answers out of you. Now, I am an English professor, so I can pull the answers out of you, but not everybody's an English professor, So you don't want to make them have to draw this out. Have the conversation. If you don't want it to be in Zoom, which I love, I think this Zoom is a fantastic option, or just any whatever video tool we're using, I love that. But if you don't like that, send an email. We're not going to let the email sit. We're here to help, so do it. So I think that sometimes we run into people who are unsure about where they stand, and and we've all done this. You jump out and you're like, oh no, I didn't mean to. Maybe I shouldn't have. Yes, you should. You have an ally, because that in the end is what it is. We're not here to make you feel bad about your work. We're not here to make you feel bad about, oh, you've been writing this piece for 10 years. What are you talking about? A lot of us have been writing something for 10 years. That's not even there's nothing negative. The critique that we might provide, that's not designed to hurt your feelings or to downgrade anything that you've put to. It's more about helping you hone your thoughts, helping you to really understand the craft so that you can make your piece the best piece it can be. Know that if you can come into the relationship knowing that we're actually in your corner, period, it's going to be fine. You just have to trust us and believe that we're going to do that.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and I agree with that. And bridging just a little bit on that is don't self-edit yourself, or what is that? Where you're like, oh, I'm not going to do this yet because I need to reach this mark. I need to do this thing. I need to come as you are, and we'll work with that. You don't need to be perfect. That's why we're doing this. I think I was well into my career, and I was struggling with my back and forth agent issue. And so I went back into the mentorship program as a mentee. And I want to say I was a mentor of the year at the time. So it felt a bit ridiculous to me, but we all need help at some times. And I had no idea about the agent world, and I was very emotionally, weird about it, commitment and all that. And we can say we're weird because we're writers. Like, we wouldn't be doing this if we weren't weird, right? So if I had waited, in the very beginning, I didn't have anything out, and I still got a mentor, and that changed my career. That changed the trajectory. It's not waiting, and just doing it. So I urge everybody watching, just do it.
I think you make a really good point, is that you could jump to a different code. So, for example, I've used Angela as an informal mentor, for example, for poetry and also for press releases. Like I won a Stoker, and I went, I don't know what how am I going to get this out there in New Zealand? No one's, like, what do I do? And Angela says, hey, this is how you do it. This is how you put together a press release. She's done years and years in the industry, so she knew exactly how to do it. I used her template, I did it, and I ended up, getting in the New Zealand national newspapers for, so it was just, how do I make this newsworthy? Like, it was newsworthy to me, but what did it mean to the, why? And it was wonderful. And so, you just never know where your mentor could have skills on the other, in a different code. But if you are someone who has particularly worked in prose and you want to move to poetry and try something new, or inform your prose with poetry, then there's an opportunity there. Or if you are just new to screenwriting and you've done some short stories and you'd like to work out how to adapt a short story into a short film, here's Elle-Marie Wood right here. She just showed us before we started a scree of awards for screenwriting. That there's opportunities there. So if you are when you write your note to the mentorship program and send it into Greg, write a little bit about the scope of what you're doing, and that will help him place you. If
Mhm.
you're working on something that's particularly has cultural underpinnings or looking at mental health, you could put that on your application, and that will really help Greg to find, and his team to find the right placement, because I think a lot of it is also, I mean, I have to say the team do a great job of trying to match the project to the mentor so that you get the kind of help that is going to be most valuable to you.
Mhm. I think Angela and Lee just touched on something I want to reinforce. We have these conversations on the back end ourselves. None of it, mentee, mentor, these are great terms and they apply to what we're talking about today. But when you form relationships with people, you have this conversation in the back in text or in whatever, saying, hey, how do you do such and such? That's mentoring, but it's just very informal. I mean, I'm as soon as we get done with this today, I have to answer a question that was asked of me when I in the beginning, I looked down at the bottom of my screen, I saw it come in. I'm like, I'll get to that, but it's not a mentee. This is an informal relationship because I have a skill that this person's asking about. That's the beauty of the community that I talked about before, the writing community. And yes, we're the horror community, but there's a larger scale, even bigger than the speculative fiction community. There's a writing community. So that if you're looking for that press release information, that's a press release is a press release. It comes with no genre distinction. You can write one and anyone can, you know what I mean? Someone, if you know that writes romance, can help you with that as well. These are the things that but you have to know that we're all asking these questions. Just because you come in and you feel like, oh, I don't know anything, and I'm asking everybody everything, we're asking stuff too. I mean, no one knows everything. So we're asking each other things all the time. And I mean, just I think that the key, I feel this heavily because when I teach, often at least, I teach a freshman class. And there's a new students who are coming in at the university. They come in and they don't from different states and they don't know each other. And they're sitting in this class and here's the bouncy me in the front going, yeah, we're gonna talk all day about everything because I'm not gonna stand here and write on the board all day. No. And there's this moment of I don't think I can do it. I don't want to talk in front of people. I don't feel confident. But they couldn't have gotten in my class if they hadn't done well in their whatever high school equivalency courses were to get to that. So no, you can do this. We all learn things along the way. We all learn a new skill in the most random of ways, but that's the way it's supposed to be. Don't feel bad if you're like, I just don't know anything. It's ridiculous. I can't get it together. No, it's not ridiculous. None of us have it together. We're all learning every day. And as long as you're open to that, you'll feel better about what you're doing, and you'll be able to accept and I don't know, be the sponge, I guess, so that we can help you figure out what's best for you.
Yeah, I like that. There's something I say to myself, and I've said it to other people that I've worked with. You will be perfect when you're dead.
There you go.
So let's not wait for that. Let's just get it going now. Well, we're going to wrap it up a little bit. I want to know kind of what's in it for us as mentors to encourage people out there right now who might be waffling around like, oh, I don't know if I want to be a mentor. It's scary. It's this. What are some of the things that we've got besides the awesome shiny trophies, which also are home defense program things, because you can clock somebody in the head with these things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, these are heavy and sharp and pointy, and don't try to go to the airport with it because they are suspicious. But besides that,
I have to be clear, they did look at it. Okay.
Yeah, I won't go there because I do need to get back on a plane and come back to the United States for next StokerCon. So I will say nothing at this point about what you can do with that trophy. But what are some of the things that have rewarded you as a mentor? And so for me, it made a side career for me. Mm-hmm. By mentoring, I got the confidence and the, I guess, program. How do I mentor? What is my best work as a mentor? And that's also called a book coach. And so now I make a good side living. Actually, it is a living as a book coach. So that's one of the big things. It's something on your resume. I mean, you can do this also selfishly, and we still need you. We don't care why you're doing it. Come on. Come on. We always need mentors. How about you guys? Besides the weaponry in your background, what is something that you would say you really got from the mentor program?
Oh,
Don't say headaches. We don't want to say
yeah,
headaches.
it's a privilege. I just feel it's so uplifting to hear new trends and to be involved and be given, that sneak peek into someone else's work. I just feel as just it's it's hugely just inspiring to be part of the new wave of, I mean, I'm getting older, the new wave of voices coming through. That's huge to me. I think that there's some of my best friends have come from those mentorship, informal and formal mentorship sort of partnerships. They are also talking about me. I know that sounds, again, I say it's branding. They're sort of saying, oh, can I announce that you're my mentor? Like that's kind of nice. It just feels like, but also that when you see someone get something, oh my God, filters. I never saw filters, but now I see them everywhere, and just the laughter around that. And when your mentee has that eureka moment and you go, yes, they're just going to take that forward. And then when they surpass you and they end up, one of my mentees, New Zealand mentees, ends up with a USA Today best-selling, and I'm going, oh, look at. To be fair, she started as a very solid writer, but like it's like, okay. It's a wonderful feeling because that's the whole point, isn't it? You're lifting, when you can feel that you've had a little part to play in seeing someone else succeed. It just makes your heart just go, I don't know, just so warm. It's just such a nice feeling. And I do think that is the whole point, isn't it? It's the mission of the HWA is to promote horror, is to help other horror writers to lift the genre and talk about these really important issues, what frightens us. That's where so to me that's the thing. I mean it's the mentorship to me is the core of what we are as the HWA.
Oh, I can't deny that. I agree with you with that, Lee. I don't know. I mean, I think for me, when I think, what do I get from it? And this cat has been yelling on the side. I've been trying to make him stop. He's been responding to everyone. My apologies. I don't know. There's like a jolt or a source of pride when I see a mentee like really getting it, like really starting to blow up, or they were running and gunning for this one anthology and they get in, and I'm like, that's right. I read the story and I'm like, it's great. It's fantastic. I'm just excited. So when I say pride, it's like, I helped that person. Not that I wrote it. I didn't do anything except steer, but I was helpful. Being helpful means more to me than I actually thought it would. And that's a revelation to me. I really didn't think it was something that I don't know. I just never, I don't know why it didn't occur to me that this was something, people would say, oh, I want to give back or things like that. The phrasing that we use just in society. And I never really, I heard it, but it was great. And it was, okay, good. It's not just me. There you go. That's right, Angela. But, I just never I don't know. It just didn't connect for me until I started doing mentoring. And I'm like, yeah, I get it, because it's not about me. You don't feel it about I don't feel about myself. It's about them and the excitement I feel for them. And that is, that's also a shift, I think, that happens as you write, as you are part of the community. You stop, you cheer for yourself. Of course, we're here to do that, but we cheer for each other. Just the beauty of the horror community is that we are so supportive with each other. And to know that I'm supporting a mentee, I'm saying my famous is Woot, W-O-O-T. If you see that, it's me, that I'm saying it. And if I'm saying that it was a mentee of mine, it's just the feeling is like, yes. Just I think that means more to me than I thought. And if that's a selfish thought, I'll take it. It's fine. I really am excited that someone got enough out of our discussions to tweak that last little bit that the story might have needed or the screenplay might have needed or whatever. And now it's skyrocketing. So I just like to see people succeed. And this is like a front row seat. So I'm pumped about that.
Yes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's interactive success, because your thumbprint is a little bit on there somewhere. They did the work, but we get to share the joy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and just something I thought of with what both of you are saying. One of the things that's an issue with being a writer, or something that we are constantly told, that we suffer from, is isolation. Mm-hmm. And when we're doing this, we are fighting our own isolation. We're reaching out, and we are not isolated. We wind up with whole families of writers that, like Lee said, sometimes surpass us, sometimes don't, but we're all rising together,
Mm-hmm.
So awesome. Well, we're going to close this. I do want to hear from you as the writers, not the mentors or mentees. What are you doing right now going forward, and how can we find you? And then we're going to hear from some of our other mentors of the year, with just some videos that we're attaching to the end of this.
Oh, okay. I'll go again.
Yeah, I was like, go ahead.
We like pause, staring at each other, almost like a freeze frame. Well, I am. That's funny. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. What I'm going to say is that I have a nonfiction piece coming out in October that talks about my thoughts about the horror genre. And I think there is a discussion about mentorship in a roundabout way in that piece, because it's just kind of part of me now. So that's kind of exciting. Also something I never thought I would do so much nonfiction, but recently, yeah. So that's coming in October. And just the other day, I started writing a novella that I'm really excited about. So fingers crossed, we'll see when that happens. But yeah, things are moving. Oh, and you can find me at elmariewood.com.
Awesome. How about you, Lee?
Oh, exciting to hear. And I have read Elmarie Wood's fantastic essay collection. A couple of those essays I'd seen before, but as a whole, is an incredible piece of writing. Congratulations on that, Lisa. I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, it's so readable as well. It's you're an academic, but actually it's just, you can step right into that. And there are the references there, but in actual fact, you can just step right in and just read it as and I think that's real skill. So well done to you. I'm just finishing up a poetry collection with Karina Bissett. So that's been my joy project for the year, and I'm really, really excited about that. My feature film Grafted, which I co-wrote with New Zealand's Mia Maramara, who was Filmmaker of the Year last year, and Huiling Owl. That's premieres next week, and so probably when this shows, it's probably, so that's really exciting at the New Zealand International Film Festival. And I've been working on a lot of anthology projects. I have a couple on the go, and at the moment, the submission call is open for This Way Lies Madness with my HWA co-chair, in fact, Dave Jeffrey. We're looking for, with Flame Tree Press, and we're looking for works that destigmatize mental illness and horror, and so a new text around that. So we had 225 submissions in the first week, so really excited that this is a new area which is really growing, and people are more aware of it, particularly post-pandemic. So I'm really proud of the work that we're doing there. So those are some of the things that I've been working on.
Nice. That's fantastic. That is fantastic. And then I guess we're going to close. I will say,
I want to know what you're working on.
Well, I actually, as I was sitting there listening to you guys, I realized what I am working on is an extension of my mentoring, because I started the newsletter, Authortunities, so that I could share the author opportunities with different mentees and mentors and the community at large. And I just now, at this moment, as we're talking, realize, that's an extension of my mentorship thing that I've been doing, because it's like, I can't tell everybody. I think there's like 3,000 subscribers now. I can't tell 3,000 people this message, but you can go there and see. So that is my pride and joy. I'm off in Eugenie. I'm really promoting that this year. And my nonfiction book, How to Be an Authortunist, which also was an extension of the newsletter. But my favorite thing to do this last year has been Authortunities on Substack. So that's just authortunities.substack.com. So, but yeah, so yay, you guys. I really want to read that essay book now, Lisa. So I'm going to be hitting you up. So this is my list. Will be like Facebook ads and this. Okay. And hey, yeah. Lee, I know where you are, Lee, and I need this and this.
Yep. So excited.
Awesome. Oh, and thank you everybody who has watched for coming and supporting us with Halloween in July 2024. If you scroll down to the bottom of this video, you will see the link to donate. The money that we're raising right now is going to our scholarship program. So we've got the Horror Writers Association Scholarship, the Mary Wollstone, I don't know why that's such a hard word for me. I'm a writer, not a vocal person. Wollstonecraft Shelley Scholarship, Diversity Grants, the Dark Poetry Scholarship, the Rocky Wood Memorial Scholarship for Nonfiction, the Nidus Etchison Young Writer Scholarship, the Scholarship from Hell for StokerCon, which brings you to StokerCon, Young Adults Right Now program, and we're also teaming up with the University of Pittsburgh Library System this year to also support their horror studies collection. They acquired the Stanley Wiater archive for modern horror, and so we are also raising money for that to help that valuable work be transcribed, pulled off of all these tapes. It's still in the old school tapes, not to date ourselves, but we need to get that off and digitized so that we can preserve these wonderful, wonderful interviews. So go down. If you have a little bit to spare, we would love your support financially. If you don't, please, just a like and a share is fantastic. And that makes all the difference as well. So, and now we're going to close off. We're going to say bye, but stay tuned because we're going to have some videos from other Mentors of the Year now. So bye, everybody, and thank you.
Hi, this is Linda Addison. I have received the Mentor of the Year award a few years ago, and also Lifetime Achievement with the HWA. And I'm just talking to you real quick because I'm away at a convention, Gen Con. And I wanted to talk about one of my favorite things in the world to be involved in, and that's in mentorship. I think it's so important because I have had great mentors in the past, people who have given me advice about the business, about my writing, times when I felt really discouraged to pull me up so that I kept going. And I think mentor programs in general can just accelerate the work that the mentee is doing, and it also confirms for the mentor whatever they've learned. And we also learn from working with different people. We learn different tools to teach. We learn more about how a different person's point of view is on the work they're doing. I mean, there's just no downside as far as I'm concerned. I think that it's important also because it helps the mentee find ways around pitfalls that we've also learned some tactic with. And besides the actual learning of the tool of writing and the marketing of writing, it also helps to give support to the whole point of doing something like this. I mean, being creative is a hard decision and a hard road to be on sometimes. And the belief in yourself, in your work, in the beginning, when you're just starting to generate work and get it out there is really important. And we all do this mostly in a room by ourselves. So at least having a mentor to work with is someone you can bounce ideas off of. They can share with you maybe some ideas that help them get through some tough times and, believe more in their work and in themselves. So it just is an all-around win-win for both the mentor and the mentee. I always get so much from it. And in the end, when people that I've mentored have gone out and created on their own, even mentored on their own, it's just so uplifting. It's like the best gift ever to see someone who you've worked with shine and grow and see their work out there. For me, it's almost like seeing my work out there. Their accomplishments make my soul happy. So I just wanted to send a little message into the world and say, mentoring is so special. It's so uplifting. And when you've learned something as a mentee, then you're also putting yourself in a position where you can teach or you can give advice. So it's an ongoing cycle that is a lift up for everyone. So thank you for letting me take a few minutes to talk about, like I said, one of my favorite subjects. And right on. WRITE. Keep it up. Bye.
Hi there, Dave Jeffrey here. I was lucky enough to be recipient of the HWA Mentor of the Year award last year, 2023. So what does being a mentor mean to me? Well, it's very much about giving something back to the horror writing community. When I first started out, a lot of the advice, guidance that was out there was very ad hoc. Some well-meaning, kind individuals on the internet sharing their experiences and kindly reading some of my work and giving me hints, tips and pointers about how to improve it somewhat. There certainly wasn't any access to any kind of robust framework or network of I guess individuals offering guidance on how to improve the craft, how to improve my craft. So that's what being a mentor means to me. It's about giving something back, and it's about giving something back in a very structured and hopefully worthwhile way for anyone seeking to join the mentorship program. I'm very much a believer in helping others to develop, improve, and in the same context, that helps me to, I guess, develop my own skills, both in terms of writing and supporting other people. So that is, in a very, very small nutshell, what the mentorship program means to me. So thank you very much, HWA, for having me on board. Thank you very much indeed for, certainly in terms of the award, and anyone who's thinking about joining the mentorship program, either as a mentor or a mentee, I can wholeheartedly endorse it from beginning to end. So that's me, Dave Jeffrey. Thank you very much.